I can start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My question is question 5. Titles: How can I use Quranic to conform and overcome the fear of death? Introductions: Islam teaches that fears of death comes from misunderstanding natural of death. From Quran and Ahl al-Bayt, we learn death is not distraction, but translations shift from this temporary world to a permanent one, this giving us peace, hope, and preparations for the hereafter. Research objectives: understand cause of the fear of death. Number 2, explores hadith about its death natural. Number 3, analyze Quranic verses that explain about the reality of death. Number 4, identify how a belief can overcome for bright death, repentance, and preparations for akhirah. Explanation of the questions and keyword. Death, maut, not distractions but a creations and translations. Tawaffa, Quranic team, meaning soil is taking, not distraction, not distract. Akhirah, internal words after death. Fear of death, emotional anxiety caused by misunderstanding sense, attachment to dunya, or lack of preparation. Finding solution: Islam teaches understand what death really is. Remove sense pride, tawbah, and hope is Allah's mercy. Reduce attachment to dunya. Increase preparations for hereafter. Strike belief thrice. Quran, Ahl al-Bayt. Analysis and conclusions. Number 1, why they fear it. Many see it as a distraction, but Islam says it's a creation. Quran and Surah Mulk verses number 2. Who created death and life, that the many may test that which of you is best in death. Number 2, sins create guilt, making a person's afraid to face Allah. Surah Juma verses 7. But they will never long for it because of what they have done before sins. Explain me. Attachment to dunya, making separations difficult. Look of good deeds, making the hereafters look scary. Islamic verses that translations, not annihilations. Seol continues after death. It is mercy and relief. Barzakh and akhirah are better. Reasons. Besides analysis, if Allah has created death, it cannot be distraction. So, it has a purpose that serves a divine purpose. All human test death, that does not test human. Surah Ali Imran verses 85. Every soul shall test death. A baby in a womb fear, living as it does not know the outside world. Human fear death for the same reason. Quranic analysis. Surah Mulk verses number 2. He created death and life to test. Death is a creation created, not distraction. Surah Ali Imran verses number 185 and Surah Zamar verses 52. Despair not of the mercy of Allah. Helps every come fear caused by sins. Surah Juma verses number 7. but they will never long for it because of what they have done before. Surah Zalzala, verses number 7 or 8. So whoever has done an atom's weight of good, behold it. Fear of account, believe. Surah Mominin, verses number 15. Life and death have divine meaning. Surah Teen, verses 4. Human existence in honor, death is not humiliation. Hadith and Riwayat analysis. Number 1. Imam Ali in Bihar al-Anwar, people fear death because they do not understand it. Number 2. Imam Hadi alayhi salam says to a dying man, death is like removing old clothes and wearing new clothes. It's moving from difficultly and so easy. From small house to a spacious one. Al-Qisal Bihar al-Anwar. Number 3. Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Al-Talibun Bihar al-Anwar. Ashura sermon. Death is only of bread, taking your form hardship to paradise. Number 4. Sahif al-Sajadiyah. Dua number 14. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, make the remembrance of death constant for me. Number 5. People fear death because they do not know it, just like a child fear medicine. Al-Aqlisas Sheikh Mufid, page number 55. Conclusions. Quran teaches that death is not distractions but beginning of real life. This verse comes from difficult source, but Islam provided completely solution. Do tawbah and revolve hope, inshallah. In Allah's mercy, renounced attachment to dunya increases good deeds, remember deeds regularly. When we understand that Tawhid, Quran and Ahl al-Bayt, fed on to peace, reading and hope. A believer does not run away from death. He prepares for it with trust in Allah. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Asantum for an overview of the causes of fear of death, explanation of what death is, and then the solutions of how to overcome that fear. So the important issue is, you kept on repeating several times that death is not destruction, death is creation. Did I understand you correctly? So it is not destruction of what? When you go to the graveyard, how many years you have been in Arusha?
Near 20.
20 years.
Yeah.
So let us say if there is no space in the Qabristan and they want to bury a new mayyit. So if we are confident that if we dig an old grave, we will not find any remaining corpse or body inside, then we are allowed to dig that grave. So if you are saying death is not destruction, I'm sorry, Qabristan says death is destruction. You are saying death is not destruction, death is creation. Which creation? Can you explain? Is my question clear?
Yes.
Or should we repeat it in Urdu.
Because you know what?
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give life after death. If there is no death or if there is no life, nothing, because of this same. If people thinking about of easily death, there's no scaring of death. Yeah, some people is saying, I'm so scaring for death, yeah. So Allah, this is a creation because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared this for us. This is so important. Dunya, like a life is not almost in this world we are staying so long, yeah. So every people have to taste of death. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, life after death. Every soul have to taste death.
So this is what I'm asking.
Yes.
You have not explained to me, in the Qabristan, if after 20, 30, 40 years you dig a grave, there is no, most of the time there is no body. Maybe some bones may remain. So there is destruction. Yet you are saying there's no destruction.
No,
Which-
that is only body, yeah.
Okay, so
Not soil.
okay,
our
so
soil,
you're
yeah.
saying the soul continues.
Yes.
Where is the evidence for that? Where is the Quran ayat which says that? Is an ayah in the Quran, is a riwayat in our hadith books that it is the soul that continues after death?
I think Surah Baqarah, but I'm
Okay.
not remember ayat.
Okay, just give us the idea or message about the ayah.
Surah Baqarah,
Yes.
I think it's last ayat,
Okay.
or even Surah Ali Imran,
Okay.
last ayat.
Okay.
Allah says that that all creatures, Allah made this creation, yeah, life and that after this, but it's not we have to only our body is gone, yeah, so not our soul. No?
My question is, the soul is invisible.
Yeah,
We cannot see it.
we cannot see.
What happens in the invisible world, we need to have information by the one who knows the invisible. So where is that information? It is the soul that survives. You are saying in Surah Baqarah, in the last part of the surah, or Surah Al Imran. Surah Al Imran, in the last part, says every soul shall taste death. The soul shall taste death, not the body. So if you look at this ayah, the ayah will say that even the soul is dying. Is my question clear?
Yes.
نفس ذائقة الموت. Not كل جسم and كل بدن وكل جسد.
كل نفس ذلك الموت.
will taste death and die.
Because Allah made us clay, yeah? So we are not forever this world. This is not temporary world, yeah? So how we are staying here, if we are saying people die, so this is all like a distraction, everything like a Allah create this step by step. Life after death, this is body of like a only create. Allah to giving our chance to do good deeds in this world. After this, that's why this is a ayat. Kullu nafsin zalikal maut. Kullu nafsin zalikal maut.
No, my question is, if you talk to a non-Muslim, he's not a Muslim, he's a kafir. He says, once you die and once you're buried in the ground, you're finished, you disappear, there's nothing. But the Quran says that no, your soul survives. I want to know where in the Quran it says that. You have not mentioned that ayah to us. Is my question clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. You said that people have an emotional fear of death. And the reason is because we are attached to the dunya. So, what about the dunya makes us feel comfortable and safe. What about maut feels us unsafe, uncomfortable, fearful, worried?
Can you repeat this question?
In Urdu or in English?
You can say even Urdu.
आपने ये बयान की कि लोगों को मौत से डर है और इसका वजह यह है कि वो दुनिया से मोहब्बत करते हैं और ताल्लुक़ है उनको दुनिया से. सवाल ये है कि क्या चीज़ है दुनिया की ताल्लुक़ में कि इंसान को मौत से डराता है?
जो अगर दुनिया में वो हर चीज़ को पसंद करता है, जैसे कि वो दुनिया में यूज्ड हो गया, अभी उसको हर चीज़ से मोहब्बत है. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल लाइक कोई पैसे वाला है, उसका बिज़नेस उसका पैसा, तो उसके होगा कि मेरे मरने के बाद क्या होगा. जैसा ये मेरा पैसा है, ये मेरी गाड़ी है, ये मेरे कहाँ जाएंगे, तो मुझे अच्छा रहना बहुत ज़रूरी है. लेकिन मौत तो बरहक है, कभी भी आ सकता है. तो इसमें ये है कि अगर जो बिलीवर होता है ना, वो कभी मौत से डरता नहीं है. उसे लगता है कि मौत एक नेमत ही, यानी अल्लाह की तरफ से जो इंसान बिलीवर है. बट जो दुनिया से कनेक्टेड होता है वो डरता है.
तो काफिर जो है वो मौत से डरेगा चूँकि आखिरत में उसकी ईमान नहीं है. मुसलमान नहीं डर सकता है मौत से?
अगर मुसलमान, मैं आपको एक एग्ज़ाम्पल देती हूँ इमाम हुसैन की, क्योंकि इमाम हुसैन जब मदीने से करबला गए थे ना, तो वो मौत का नहीं सोचे थे. तो जब हज़रत अली अकबर ने उनको पूछा था कि बाबा जान हमारा क्या कसूर है, तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमारा कुछ नहीं है. तो जब हज़रत अली अकबर ने कहा कि मौत हम पे आ जाए या हम मौत पे चले जाए, यू सी किस तरह से अहले बैत के घराने में कभी मौत को हार्डली फियर से यानी डरते नहीं थे. उन लोग ये मकसद समझते थे कि अगर इस्लाम के लिए अगर अपने आप को कुर्बान करना है ना, तो
नहीं. तो आपके फरमाइश के मुताबिक इसका मतलब ये है कि वो 72 शुहदा के अलावा जो भी मुसलमान थे वो काफिर थे?
नहीं, वो काफिर नहीं है.
तो फिर वो क्यों नहीं आए इमाम के साथ? चूँकि मरना तो हतमी और ज़रूरी है.
क्योंकि जो इमाम के साथ थे वो अहलुल बैत के चाहने वाले और बिलीवर्स थे, जो अल्लाह के राह में तक़वा और जो
और बाकी जो थे वो दुनिया के चाहने वाले थे.
जी,
मुसलमान भी थे.
मुसलमान थे, लेकिन दुनिया से जब लगाव हो जाता है ना, तो मौत से दूर हो जाते हैं.
तो ये कौन सा मुसलमान है कि जो आखिरत में ईमान नहीं रखता हो?
यही तो है ना. अभी अगर तक़वा
मुसलमान है,
तक़वा अख्तियार कर.
आपने ये बयान किया कुरान मजीद की आयत में है कि बरज़ख जो है वो दुनिया से बेहतर है.
हाँ, बेहतर है
वो कौन सी
मोमिन के लिए.
कौन सी आयत है कुरान में कि कहते बरज़ख दुनिया से बेहतर है?
आई टोल्ड आयत अगेन.
मैंने यहाँ सुना आपसे ये बयान कर रही थी कि कुरान मजीद में है कि बरज़ख जो है वो दुनिया से बेहतर है. वो कौन सी आयत है? ओके. तो
सूरह आले इमरान और
जी
सूरह आले इमरान और सूरह मुल्क,
उसमें बरज़ख का जिक्र नहीं है. बरज़ख का जिक्र कोई और सूरह में है और उस माना में भी नहीं है जो आप बयान कर रही थी. अच्छा ये बताएं.
सूरह ज़लज़ला जी.
अच्छा ये बताएं कि वो कौन सा मुसलमान है, क्या हकीकी मुसलमान है कि जो मौत से डर रहा हो? कुरान मजीद में इस किस्म के मुसलमानों का ज़िक्र आया है कि मुसलमान भी हैं, ज़ाहिरन आखिरत में ईमान रखते हैं लेकिन डरते हैं. है ऐसे किस्म के मुसलमान?
ऐसे मुसलमान है, लेकिन
तो इनकी इस्लाम क्या है, उसकी ईमान, इन लोगों की ईमान के बारे में आप क्या बताएंगे? कुरान मजीद क्या बता रहा है उनकी ईमान के बारे में?
یہ ایسے لوگ ہیں جو عبادت کرتے ہیں
جی
اور ڈرتے بھی ہیں موت سے، لیکن یہ اس کا مطلب نہیں کہ وہ کافر ہے، اور یہ بھی مطلب نہیں ہے کہ وہ زیادہ گناہ گار ہے اور زیادہ اس کے ساتھ دنیا سے. اور چھوٹی سی چیز ہے، موت جب آتی ہے تو سب موت بولتے ہیں تو آنکھ کھل جاتے ہیں کہ وہ موت ہے. دس از اے نارمل تھنگس.
So how to increase the faith in barzakh and beyond barzakh in akhirat such that you do not fear death, you accept the reality of death, in fact you wait for death, in fact you love death. 4 stages.
You believe wilaya of Imam Ali.
Okay.
Yeah. So belief of آخرہ یعنی جو انسان اگر اللہ کے چیزوں پہ یقین اور اللہ پہ یقین رکھے گا نا تو وہ اچھا کام کرے گا، اور اللہ کا اگر ڈر رکھے گا اسٹیپ بائی اسٹیپ
تو یہ انسان کس طرح اپنے آپ
اس
کے
کے اندر
یقین کو، خدا پر یقین کو زیادہ کر سکے، کیا کرے وہ؟
فار ایگزامپل
کمزور ایمان اور کمزور یقین کے کیا سبب ہے؟
فار ایگزامپل if I give you example Prophet Yunus یا Prophet Yunus
جی
جو بیمار تھے، Prophet Yunus کا اسٹوری ہے جس کے ساتھ سو میں نے کیا وہ بیماری میں بھی تھے، ان کے ساتھ بہت ساری چیزیں ہوئے جب وہ اللہ پہ بھی بلیو رکھتے تھے.
جی
اور بہت ایسے ہمارے پروفیٹس اور ہمارے ائمہ کے ساتھ ہوا ہے، لیکن وہ ہمیشہ ہر حال میں اور ہر ٹائم اللہ کا شکر کرے. تو اس میں ہوتا ہے اللہ کا یقین یعنی اسٹرانگ رکھنا، فیتھ، اسٹرانگ فیتھ. کا فیتھ اسٹرانگ ہوتا ہے نا تو وہ موت سے نہیں ڈرتا.
تو اس فیتھ کو کس طرح اسٹرانگ کر سکے؟
محبت اہل البیت اینڈ یقین اللہ پر اور اللہ کے اور بتائے ہوئے راستے پہ چلے اور اہل البیت کے بتائے ہوئے راستے.
محبت اہل بیت کس طرح اسٹرانگ کرے؟
اگر میں آپ کو ایک ایگزامپل دے دوں
جی
بی بی فاطمہ الزہرا علیہ السلام کا، کہ وہ بی بی فاطمہ زہرا رسول اللہ کی بیٹی جو شہزادی ہے جنت کی، اوکے، وہ امام علی کے ساتھ بہت اچھی طرح سے رہتے تھے. ایک ایگزامپل بھی ہے میں آپ کو دیتی ہوں سورہ دہر میں ورسز نمبر 7 to 8 جس میں بی بی فاطمہ الزہرا نے روزہ رکھا تھا اپنے بچے پہ، یعنی امام حسن علیہ السلام اور امام حسین علیہ السلام جو بہت بیمار تھے، ان کے وسیلے کو ان کو ٹھیک یعنی ان کے لیے. جب ان کے ساتھ ایسا ہوا تو اللہ کی طرف سے ان کے گھر میں 3 دن، ایک دن غریب، فقیر اور قیدی یا یتیم تو جب وہ آئے تو وہ اپنا جو روٹی تھی نا ان کو دے دیا. یو سی، اگر ہم کو کوئی اگزامپل لینا ہے نا تو وہ اہل البیت سے ہوتا ہے. تو یہ جو آیات آیا تھا نا، یہ قرآن میں یہ آیات وہی ٹائم پہ آیا جب بی بی فاطمہ الزہرا کا یہ جو قصہ ہوا ہے نا، تو اس سے ہم لے سکتے ہیں کہ کس طرح سے ہمارا ایمان اسٹرانگ رہے. اگر یہاں پہ ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ ہم اہل البیت کے قریب ہوئے تو تقوی اختیار کرے، اور یہاں پہ کوشش یہ ہونا چاہیے کہ کوئی گناہ ہم کر رہے اس سے پہلے ہم سوچ لیں کہ یا اللہ اگر میں یہ گناہ کرتا ہوں تو اس سے میرے امام مجھ سے راضی نہیں ہے. جس طرح میں وہ امام میرے وہ وہاں قریب تھے، میں ان سے کتنے کی قدم دور ہو جاؤں گا. سو یہ ایک چیز ہے. اور نماز کا اگر انسان پابندی نماز پڑھ رہا ہے بٹ اگر وہ تقوی نہیں، وہ سب کچھ دنیا کی چیزوں سے محبت کرے تو اس میں کچھ بھی نہیں ہے. نماز اگر ہم پڑھ رہے تو اللہ کے لیے ہوئے، نہ کہ لوگوں کے لیے. کہ اگر جب ہم نماز پڑھ رہے ہم نے دیکھا کہ کوئی انٹر ہو رہا ہے تو ہم نماز سلو کر دیا. ابھی اسی طرح سے ہم اہل البیت کے قریب ہو سکتے اور عاشور کے دن کو یاد کر کے، بہت امپورٹنٹ ہے عاشور کا دن.
تو یہ ہمیں بتائیں
جی.
چونکہ یہ سیشن قرآن مجید کے محور پر ہے، اب جو بھی باتیں کر رہے ہیں کہ گناہ کرے تو امام ناراض ہوں گے، نماز وقت پہ پڑھے، دنیا کی محبت کم کرے، یہ سب باتیں ہمیں قرآن مجید کی آیات کی روشنی میں ہمیں سمجھائے. یہ تو صرف آپ کے کلیمز ہیں. میں نہیں کہتا ہوں صحیح نہیں ہے، میں یہ کہتا ہوں قرآن مجید کے پروگرام میں ہم قرآن مجید کی آیات سننا چاہتے ہیں آپ سے، یا ایسی روایات جو قرآن کی تفسیر کر رہی ہو.
If I tell you Quran, but verses I don't remember because I don't have here these verses. Well, only of in the Holy Quran, Surah Baqarah have so many things about of this because I reciting in home, so I know this so many things. So this in the Holy Quran, Surah Baqarah, there is so many things. Yeah. So about of believers. So अगर यहाँ पे अल्लाह ताला बोल रहे हैं हमको कि मांगो मुझसे मैं दूंगा. ओके, गाफूर, अगर तुमने जो गुनाह किया है तो गुनाह की माफ़ी नहीं मिलेगी. ऐसा मत सोचो कि मैंने इतना बड़ा गुनाह किया मैं कंटिन्यू करता रहूँगा. गुनाह किया है तो गुनाह की माफ़ी भी है, तो मुझसे मांगो कि मैं गफूर हूँ. इसका मतलब है यानी माफ़ करने वाला. तो आप अगर ये सोचें कि अल्लाह ने जब कहा है 99 नेमों में से एक नाम आता है गफूर, तो अल्लाह ने जब कहा है कि मेरे बंदा अगर वो जब भटक गया दुनिया में तो वो अगर मांग ले कि अल्लाह के ये नेमत को या अल्लाह मुझे माफ़ कर दे, इसी तो अल्लाह ताला माफ़ कर देते, लेकिन सच्चे दिल से. तो अभी यहाँ एक चीज़ है कि इंसान बोलेगा नहीं यहाँ पे मैं करूँगा कंटिन्यू जो मुझे करना है, लेकिन सूरह बकरा में ये बहुत सारा ज़िक्र हुआ है और बार बार हुआ है ये ज़िक्र. सूरह आले इमरान में भी इसका ज़िक्र हुआ है. तो अल्लाह ताला यही बोल रहे कि मेरा बंदा यानी मुझसे मांगो, और अगर जो दुनिया में बिलीवर है जो अच्छा काम करेगा तो वो मैं जो प्रॉमिस कर रहा हूँ उसको मैं जन्नत में डालूँगा. अगर जो ये दुनिया में जो नबी इब्राहिम के टाइम जब नबी इब्राहिम के फादर ने नबी इब्राहिम को कहा था कि भूतों को मानो, तो नबी इब्राहिम ने क्या कहा था कि मैं मेरे अल्लाह पे यकीन रखता हूँ, मैं अल्लाह पे ढूंढूंगा कि अल्लाह कहाँ पे, मैं ये भूतों को नहीं मानूंगा. नबी इब्राहिम ने अल्लाह के ऊपर ईमान रख के अल्लाह को बैठे रहे और देखा कि हर एक जो नेमत है वो अल्लाह नहीं हो सकती, अल्लाह है जो हर नेमत को बनाया है. तो उसी तरह से लाइफ और डेथ यानी ज़िंदगी और मौत ये भी अल्लाह की एक नेमत है. तो अगर इंसान यहाँ दुनिया में सारी चीज़ें हम करेंगे, जैसा कि बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं दुनिया से कनेक्टेड हो जाते हैं लोग, ये एक नॉर्मल और सिंपली है जो मोमिन के साथ भी होता है. तो अगर इससे कोई गलती हो गई बट वो बैठा रहे और सोचे कि वो जब नाइट के टाइम बैठे नमाज के बाद नमाज शब और नमाज इशा आफ्टर दिस नमाज, वो सोचे कि इसने क्या किया था. अगर उसको लगा कि मैंने किसी का हक खाया था या किसी के साथ कुछ किया, तो वो बैठे अपने मुसल्ले पे अपने अल्लाह के साथ बातें करे, क्योंकि अल्लाह ये नहीं कि एक ही टाइम सुनते हैं. ऑल टाइम यू कैन कॉल अल्लाह, वही टाइम आपको जवाब मिलेगा, यानी वहाँ से आपको सुकून यानी आपके दिल को सुकून मिलेगा. तो अगर आप कंटिन्यू, अगर मैंने कहा कि अगर मैं ये गुनाह नहीं करूँगा रिपीट, तो वो गुनाह की माफ़ी होगी. लेकिन अगर इंसान बैठ रहा है कि मुझे पता है अल्लाह ताला गफूर है, मैं ये गुनाह करा हूँ, कल रिपीट करूँगा, फिर से माफ़ी मांगूंगा, फिर कंटिन्यू करूँगा, ये ऐसा नहीं होता. तो अगर वो इंसान बोला कि आज मैंने ये किया कल मैं नहीं करूँगा, अगर मैं कल नहीं कर रहा हूँ तो कंटिन्यू वो आएगा, उसके दिल में अहलुल बैत की मोहब्बत आएंगी, और अहलुल बैत की मोहब्बत आने की वजह से उसके दिल में मौत का डर ख़त्म हो जाएगा. तो अभी ये
इंशाअल्लाह. तो असल में जो बहस है वो मौत का डर है. नॉर्मली हम जो बात कर रहे हैं अपने बिलीवर्स की बात कर रहे हैं जो मोमिन हैं. अगर कोई मोमिन या मोमिना आपके पास आए और कहे कि मुझे मौत से बहुत घबराहट होती है, कुछ लोग कब्रिस्तान नहीं जाते हैं, कुछ लोग गुस्ल मैयत में शरीक नहीं होते, कुछ लोग पुरसे का खाना तक नहीं खाते, कुछ लोग मौत के नाम सुनने को भी पसंद नहीं करते. अगर वो लोग ऐसे आए आपके पास, बताएं कि भी हमें मौत से डर लग रहा है, अब हम क्या करें, तो आप उनको क्या समझाएंगे, कैसे उनके दिल से मौत का डर निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे या नुस्खा देंगे उनके लिए?
उनके लिए यही होगा कि वो अल्लाह के ऊपर यकीन रखे, कि अल्लाह के ऊपर कमा जो इंसान अल्लाह के ऊपर यकीन रखता है वो इंसान, अगर वो जो ऐसा आके मेरे पास पूछे ना, तो मैं उनको एक ही मिसाल दूंगी अहलुल बैत का. क्योंकि अहलुल बैत में, हमारे अहलुल बैत में यानी बीबी फ़ातिमा तो ज़हरा, इमाम अली अलैहिस्सलाम, यहाँ से आप कहीं पे भी एक मिसाल ले लो, इमाम हुसैन का बोलो, तो आप यहाँ पे बोल सकोगे कि जब बीबी फ़ातिमा ज़हरा के साथ जो हुआ था, उसके बाद भी उनके साथ जो हुआ वो बहुत बड़ा था, छोटी बात नहीं थी कि जो उनके साथ हुआ था, जो उन पे जुल्म हुआ था. वो चाहे तो बीबी फ़ातिमा ज़हरा रसूल अल्लाह की बेटी. तो
ये बताइए, अगर मौत की ज़रूरत है, क्या
मौत की ज़रूरत
है? मौत को ज़रूरत है. अल्लाह इसी दुनिया को इतना लंबा बना दे, यहीं पर हिसाब किताब हो, क्या ज़रूरत है मौत की?
ना मौत बरहक है. अगर मौत नहीं हो तो इंसान
क्यों
कब
क्यों
तक
बरहक
जिएगा?
है?
बहुत अच्छा है. मौत अगर होएगी ना उसके बाद ही तो उसका टेस्ट होगा. दिस वर्ल्ड ओनली खाली एक टेम्परवरी हमारे लिए. लाइक हम स्कूल जाते हैं तो पलट के घर आते हैं ना, तो घर तो आना पड़ता है. जो लोगों के घर नहीं है उनके कैसी हालत होती है. अभी जब बच्चा स्कूल जाता है इसको पता है कि वापस जाके घर जाना है, तो स्कूल जाना जैसे कि दुनिया में रहना, और वो जो घर जाना जैसे कि वो बरज़ख में जाना.
तो क्या इफेक्ट होगा उसके अकीदे का मेरी ज़िंदगी में, पर्सनल लाइफ में मौत के बिलीफ का क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है? वरना अगर अंग्रेज़ दुनिया में वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज वाले ज़िंदगी गुजार रहे हैं विदाउट हैविंग द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ द मौत इन देयर माइंड, अच्छी ज़िंदगी गुजार रहे हैं. बाज़ लोग जुल्म भी कर रहे हैं, आप देख रहे हैं आजकल
लेकिन
कितना
उसका
जुल्म करते हैं
हिसाब
लोग.
और किताब तो अल्लाह के पास होगा ना. ऐसा नहीं कि उसको
होगा,
उठा के जन्नत में डाला
उसका
जाएगा.
होगा. उसका इम्पैक्ट और इफेक्ट मेरी डेली लाइफ में क्या होता है, ईमानी लाइफ में क्या होगा अगर मैं बिलीव करूं डेथ पर. ना बिलीव करूं तो मौत आसानी है.
नहीं, जो अगर इंसान अगर डरेगा वही ज़्यादा यानी मुश्किल देखेगा. अगर जो इंसान अगर मौत को आसान समझेगा तो वो बहुत अच्छी ज़िंदगी गुजारेगा. क्योंकि अगर कोई भी दुनिया में उसके साथ कुछ भी बुरा हुआ है, या उसके साथ कोई लोग गलत किया है, या उसको इंसाफ नहीं मिला, तो वहाँ पे ये सोच ले कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, बहुत बड़ी मुश्किल नहीं है. ये मेरे लिए छोटा सा टेस्ट है जो अल्लाह ताला ने मुझे दिया है. अब इसमें मुझे पास होना है. अभी
तो कौन सी किताबें पढ़ी हैं आपने मौत के सिलसिले में? एनी बुक यू हैव रेड अबाउट मौत, या कोई कमेंट्री या कोई हदीसों की किताब कुछ पढ़ा है आपने, कुछ टच किया है कहीं ना कहीं?
No, I'm listening only majlises. I really like to listen majlises about of maut.
There is no reliable sources, references. No.
Yeah. Only this Quran recitations, like कुरान पढ़ के उसको समझते, समटाइम उसमें ही मैंने निकालती हूँ उसके ट्रांसलेशंस और उसमें ही मैं ढूंढती हूँ, और दूसरा मजलिस से इमामों से.
इंशाअल्लाह अगर आप मलकुल मौत यहाँ पर आ जाएं,
मैं खुशी से चले जाऊँ.
या अल्लाह, शी इज़ रेडी टू गो.
ये मुझे तो शहादत चाहिए, क्योंकि इमाम हुसैन और हमारे इमाम मेहदी का वेट हो रहा है.
मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था अगर मलकुल मौत आए हमसे कहेंगे चलो बिस्मिल्लाह, ताकि हम लोग इतने प्रिपेयर हैं. व्हाट्स आवर प्रिपरेशन टू से लब्बैक टू मलकुल मौत? क्या क्या चाहिए, तैयार है? एक दो चीज़ें बोल सकते हैं, क्या तैयारी चाहिए?
अभी क्या है, हमको ऐसा नहीं कि यार आज मलकुल मौत आएगा भागो घर में, कोई एक जगह नहीं है छुपने की. मलकुल मौत बंद कमरे में भी आ जाएगा.
जी आ गए तो क्या तैयारी है?
जैसे कि अगर हम, इसलिए
आपने हज़रत अली अकबर की मिसाल दी, मौत हम पर आए या हम जाकर मौत पर गिर पड़े,
पड़े,
तो कितने कॉन्फिडेंट थे हज़रत अली अकबर, इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम. तो हमारी तैयारी क्या है? व्हाट वी शुड डू टू से लब्बैक? लब्बैक यहाँ बैठकर लब्बैक कहना आसान है, मलकुल मौत से कहें लब्बैक.
यहाँ पे दो थिंग्स है. एक चीज़ जो बहुत ज़रूरी है लेडीज़ और जेंट्स के लिए,
कुरान से रिलेटेड बयान करें तो बेहतर है.
ये अगर मैं अहलल बैत से रिलेटेड बयान करूं,
हदीस हो. हाँ.
मैं हिजाब के बारे में बोलना चाहती हूँ. अभी मुझे इसमें नहीं पता चल रहा कहाँ पे है हदीस, क्योंकि ये मुझे कनेक्टेड लगता है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है लेडीज़ के लिए ख़ासकर. क्योंकि आपको मैं एक बात बताती हूँ. हमारे अहलल बैत में पहली मर्तबा एक बात आती है जिसमें हिजाब का ज़िक्र है, यानी हिजाब के बारे में कि लेडीज़ को किस तरह से हिजाब करना चाहिए, औरत के लिए ख़ासकर. तो क्योंकि ये करबला का बयान जो है ना बहुत इजी बयान नहीं है, बहुत हार्टफुल है. अगर आप खाली सुन लो ना करबला वर्ड, तो फिर जिसको दिल में होता है करबला की मोहब्बत तो वो रोने लगे. तो इसमें एक चीज़ बोलती हूँ मैं, आप आजकल के ज़माने में यहाँ पे कुछ अजब हो रहा है. जब से हम देखते हैं तो बोलते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है. लेडीज़ बोलती है कि मॉडल निकल गया, जीन्स और टी शर्ट में निकल जाए, और मस्जिद में जाए तो चादर पहने, और बाहर ऐसे ही चले. क्यों? दुनिया में कोई जेंट्स नहीं है बाहर. तो यहाँ पे बीबी फातिमा तो ज़हरा, सो बीबी फातिमा तो ज़हरा अलैहिस्सलाम का यहाँ पे आपने देखो मिसाल, और बीबी ज़ैनब अलैहिस्सलाम का, कि हिजाब का ज़िक्र करबला से लेके शाम, कुफा से शाम, शाम से शाम के बाज़ारों में किस तरह से हमारी बीबी पे जुल्म हुआ था. तो ये किस चीज़ का बात है? जब इमाम सज्जाद अलैहिस्सलाम को कहा था कि आपको कहाँ पे ज़्यादा तकलीफ़ हुई, तो उन्होंने क्या कहा? अश्शाम. क्यों कहा अश्शाम? کیونکہ اس بارے میں حجاب کا ذکر ہے. جو اگر لیڈیز ہمارے قومی یعنی کوئی بھی ہماری مسلمان جو اگر سمجھتی ہے کہ بی بی فاطمہ زہرا کی محبت دل میں رکھتے ہیں اور یہ رکھتے ہیں کہ اللہ کے قریب ہوئے, تو وہ انسان کو یعنی یہ سوچے کہ میں آج اگر حجاب نہ کروں, کیا میری بیوی مجھ سے راضی ہے, کیا میرا اللہ مجھ سے راضی ہے.
آپ
تو
ذاکری
اس کے لیے لیڈیز کے لیے
ذاکری کرتی ہیں,
جی
ذاکری کرتی ہیں,
جی نہیں,
اشعار پڑھتی ہیں,
گھر کے اندر کرتی ہوں.
گھر کے اندر
جی
اشعار پڑھتی ہیں.
جی ہاں.
قرآن کے بارے میں کوئی شعر یاد ہے؟ شعر کوئی نظم, 4 مصرے قرآن کے بارے میں, فضیلت قرآن, عظمت قرآن.
سو لائک اے نعت اور what I recite.
کچھ بھی قرآن کے بارے میں چاہیے جس میں قرآن کا لفظ آیا ہو. جیسے آؤٹ آف دا کانٹیکسٹ کوشچن ہے, لیکن صرف ٹو اینڈ دا پروگرام.
اوکے, سو لٹل بائی اور سم تھنگ. قرآن وہ
ایسا نارمل پڑھیے, نارمل پڑھیے.
قرآن وہ کتاب ہے جو دین سے انقلاب ہے, ہمارے راستہ وہ سیدھا راستہ کربلا. یعنی ذکر ہے ادھر قرآن کا اور کربلا کا, جو رسول اللہ نے کہا تھا کہ میرے بعد یہ 2 چیز کو فالو کرنا, قرآن اور اہل البیت. سو دس 2 تھنگس آ. سو جو لوگ اگر قرآن سے کنیکٹڈ ہونا چاہتے ہیں نا, تو اگر آپ کو میں ایک بات بتاؤں, قرآن سے اگر کنیکٹڈ ہونا چاہتے ہیں لیکن ان کے دل میں اگر محبت اہل البیت نہیں ہے تو کچھ بھی نہیں ہے یہ چیز. ولایت امام علی علیہ السلام. اوکے, تھینک یو سو مچ. خدا حافظ.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today I'm here to present the topic, what Quranic principles can help me overcome feelings of social isolation. Quranic principles refer to divine laws, values, guidance outlined in the Quran. Social isolation refers to a state in which an individual has minimal or no contact with others, leading to a lack of meaningful social relationship, support, or engagement in community or social activities. This can be through voluntary or involuntary feelings of loneliness, disconnect, or exclusion from society in general. It can also be physical separation due to illness, disability, age, or estranged in a different place. Lack of meaningful contact, even if someone is around us, others still may feel socially isolated within people. This is when they lack meaningful, supportive interactions. It can be due to mental health, depression, anxiety, or cognitive decline. Social isolation is different from loneliness, but often go hand in hand. It is common in certain groups: elderly people with disabilities, caregivers, those experiencing trauma, discrimination are at risk. Feelings of isolation, loneliness can be helped through spiritual principles that strengthen the heart and connect a person to Allah. Islam reframes loneliness as a chance to rediscover the closeness of Allah, the guidance of Quran, and the power of self-awareness. The fourth Imam says in his dua, Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me and He is the best protector. In Al-Kafi, volume 2, page 67, he says, if the whole world were to shun me, I would never feel alone if I had the Quran with me. Which principles can help me overcome these feelings from the Quran? We go to Surah Hujurat, ayah number 10, where it says, Innamal mu'minuna ikhwatukum wattaqullahi la'allakum turhamun. The faithful are indeed brothers. Therefore make peace between your brothers and be wary of God, so that you may receive His mercy. This is justice-centered peace. Peace can only come with justice. Islam emphasizes community, empathy, and shared identity. Imam Ali says, the believer finds comfort in the company of his brother in faith, just as the thirsty one finds comfort in water. Reform. Of reform as in a change, Islah, in Surah Hujurat, ayah number 9. Then we have sacrifice. Then we have bidding good and forbidding evil. Amr bil ma'ruf. society remains morally alive through guided reform. Wilaya, moral authority, unity, justice-centered reconciliation, selfless social strength, and continuous moral reform. What are the ways to achieve mental peace for this from the perspective of the Quran? To have tawakkul in Allah. In Surah Furqan, ayah number 58, Allah says, "And rely upon the ever-living who does not die, and exalt Allah with his praise, and sufficient is he to me with the sins of his servants." The definition of tawakkul, it means the servant cuts off hope from all creation for what he desires and places his hope solely on Allah. It helps in removing and countering fear and feeling of abandonment. Taqwa, God consciousness, spiritual confidence. Allah's mercy is greater than all sins. Iman, tranquility through faith, security, steadfastness. Dhikr, whether it is verbal, whether it is silent, whether it is in action, heart presence, or awareness. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. Allah bi dhikrullahi tatma'inul qulub. Surah Rad, ayah number 28. Tawbah, it removes guilt. The love for the Quran strengthens the heart. We should have realization that people may be absent, but Allah is always present. We should build a spiritual relationship with Allah. Sabr, patience in trials. Social isolation may be a test, enduring with patience can lift one spiritually. We can reframe it for a type of inner growth, purpose, self-worth. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have certainly created man in the best of forms. Your value doesn't depend on others' attention and presence. Worth is from the Creator. The current state is part of a larger plan designed to lead you towards a greater growth, connection. Practice surrendering outcomes to Allah and focus on small steps. Have hope in change. Surah Inshirah 94, number 94, 6th ayat. Innamal usri yusra. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Isolation is not permanent, it changes. Istiqamah, remaining firm on Tawheed, obedience to the Prophet, remaining firm on the wilaya of Imam Ali and Ahlul Bayt. It is a process test over time and time. We have the example from the Quran of Bibi Hajra, the strength in isolation, the tawakkul she had when she asked Prophet Ibrahim if this was ordered by Allah, and he said yes, and she agreed to it. Look at the outcome today. It led to Zamzam and the foundation of Makkah. Prophet Ibrahim was rejected. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed and imprisoned. Prophet Nuh preached 950 years but was mocked still. Prophet Musa was exiled and homeless. Prophet Muhammad was abandoned at Taif. Prophet Yunus in the whale's mouth, where he recited Dhikra Yunusiya, La ilaha illa inni kuntu minad dhalimin. Bibi Maryam, the way she was isolated. So, in Dua Qiml we say, Ya Nur al-Mustawhishina fi dhulam, Ya aliman la yu'allam. O light of those who are lonely in the darkness, O knower who was never taught. The dua from Sahifa Sajadiyah, the whispered prayer of the lonely. Ya Anisa kulli ghareeb, Ya sahiba kulli waheed. O companion of every stranger, O friend of every lonely one. Imam Ali has said, when you are afraid of something, cast yourself in it. Najul Balaga, do not feel lonely on the path of guidance because of the few who take it. Those who answer their Lord maintain the prayer, and their affairs are by counsel among themselves, and they spend out of what we have provided them. The most hopeful verse in the Quran, Surah Zumar, ayah number 53. Tawbah begins with hope. Despair itself is a spiritual error. Continuous spiritual process through tawbah, transformation. He says, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا sorry, I've misunderstood. Okay, say, O my servants, who have wronged themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Min rahmatillah, inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jamia, innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Allah surely forgives all sins. Indeed, He alone is the most forgiving and the most merciful. Asant.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much for your presentation. Just want to know more about what you mean by isolation. In your presentation, some areas you are okay with the isolation. You praise us, I think. But at the end, loneliness, when you mention the loneliness, then you rejected that loneliness. How can we compare these two, and what you mean by isolation?
So I think in my presentation, I have shown a positive presence of social isolation. In the sense, when I say that sometimes social isolation can lead us closer to Allah. But social isolation can come sometimes negatively also. So like I've mentioned, discrimination, racism. Sometimes somebody is just not, their mind is the one that sometimes plays with them and makes them feel not wanted. Does that answer the question, or?
Partially. But sometimes isolation, can we call it isolation? If we are keeping ourselves away from the society and worshipping Allah Ta'ala, then we call that act as isolation, or some other words we can use for that. It has to be, inshallah, we can benefit from the Sheikh. But that isolation, that what we are using nowadays, maybe that will not give the positive definition.
You want the definition of that?
Yes.
Is it what we do in Ramadan?
Like etikaf.
Etikaf,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, either etikaf is called as a isolation, or that not mean, you are not mean by isolation as a etikaf or night prayers, or you are sitting in a Masjidul Haram and talking to Allah Ta'ala, munajat, those kind of things. Maybe whispering Allah doesn't include in the definition of the isolation. The other thing that I want to know is, you have mentioned one of the benefits of the isolation, like you have given the example of Hazrat Maryam Salamullah alayha. I don't know, how can you elaborate that on? How can we say that Hazrat Maryam is isolated, or he isolated herself, or society has isolated her?
So when she isolated herself, she used to pray to Allah, and fruits used to come from Jannah. She used to have Jibreel like coming, who used to bring this stuff. And another isolation would be when she was alone in the desert, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's ayah number 24 of Surah Maryam, where she's told she was alone, she was very scared, but a voice came from down, and she was told to hit the water to come out. So she was socially isolated, but Allah made, I don't know which tafsir, but because it says from down, it is Hazrat Isa who was talking to her. So Allah gave her that connection. She was socially isolated because it was something that was not acceptable at that time, a woman who was not married to bear a child. So she was socially isolated like that.
Then you are mentioned some of the benefits of social life or social connection. But in the same story, Allah is asking from Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam to don't talk to the people, stay away from the society. What's the reason behind that?
To prove Allah's, because Allah asked Nabi Isa to speak, yeah? So Allah wants to prove that this is not something that she's done wrong. It is from Allah that it has come. And he wanted to prove Nabi Isa as a prophet, and Nabi Isa speaks from the cradle, yeah?
No, my question is, if social connection is beneficial, then Allah should ask Hazrat Maryam to be in connection with the society. Go and talk to them, answer their question. But Allah is asking Hazrat Maryam to keep quiet and let Hazrat Isa talk to them. What's the reason behind that?
There would have been a lot of fitna if she would have been within the people. Because she was isolated, nobody could even, she was socially isolated, yet people pointed fingers at her. Imagine if she would have been between people, it would have created a lot of problems.
Okay. The social connection is not advisable. Sometimes maybe.
Yes. Sometimes it is good not to be. So let me give an example of myself.
Please.
When I was doing this, I think for 3 months right now, I have been totally socially not as I am normally very active in the place I come from. But because I was doing these questions, it brought me very close to Allah. I'm not saying I've come that close to Allah, but it opened a completely different chapter. And I really focus on that, where Imam Ali says that when you are scared of something or when you know that you cannot, you put yourself into it. So here, when I put myself in this learning of Marifah, what I did was I socially became less connected to dunya. I was more focused towards the Quran and Allah.
That's temporary.
Yes, temporary, but I suppose if we keep on doing more of Marifah, it will help.
The competition bring you close to Allah, or just understanding the verses of the Quran brings you towards Allah?
Okay, so every time I do a competition, I tell myself, what is my aim? Am I doing it for the sake of Allah, or am I doing it for winning? Or am I doing it to get closer to Allah?
What's your plan after going back to your place? Still social isolation or social activities?
Yeah. And no. So I'm a social person, to be honest. I'm a social person, more concerned with the mosque and things. I just like doing things, okay, with people. But
And in-laws.
to be honest, my in-laws are not there anymore, alhamdulillah.
Yes,
May Allah bless them.
You mentioned some of the causes that lead to isolation or loneliness. Some are from external causes, some are from internal causes. And then you said that Islam teaches us that isolation can be a means to discover God. And the way to discover God, you said, was, for example, Sayf Sajjadiyya, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. What is this? Is this a hadith, or is there some other source for this phrase, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil? What does it mean, and how does it help overcome isolation, for a person to discover God and then to overcome isolation?
So it's, I think I've used this in Tawakkul. Have I? Yes?
No, right in the beginning, you mentioned that what are the causes of isolation, internally, externally, and then you said the Quran, you said the Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, yeah. So what did you mean by that? What does this phrase mean?
That Allah is sufficient for me and He's the best protector.
So, in isolation, Allah is sufficient for me. What does that mean?
So,
Human beings have been created to be dependent on others. To claim that I am independent because I am dependent on God, it's a bit difficult to appreciate. Can you elaborate?
you want me to elaborate what Allah is sufficient for me means?
Yes, in isolation.
Because if I know, like we have that ayah where we said that He is, I can't remember the ayah number, He's next near me than my own jugular vein. So when you are basically, when you are in isolation, Allah is sufficient for me, you are looking, you are self-reflecting inside. You are looking at yourself within yourself to see what the problem could be for whatever. Either you are socially isolating yourself in a negative way, or is it for a good purpose that you are socially isolating yourself?
So, okay, isolation is an opportunity for self-reflection. My question is, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, as per your quote, is that Hasbiyallahu wa ni'mal wakil. How is this phrase of Imam alayhi salam explaining isolation, the positive aspect of isolation? You said it's a chance to discover God, but the explanation you're giving is it's a chance for self-reflection.
So self-reflection makes you discover God, right?
How?
So you look into your own, like whether you have you are doing things that are wrong. Are you behaving in a certain way, or are you not doing something, maybe sile raham, or things that affect your soul?
So I would say the way you are explaining is that hasbi nafsi, not hasbi Allah, because you're saying I'm going to self-reflect, I'm going to find out what I've done wrong or where I have failed to do the right, did I not carry out my duty of Sila Rahim. The claim you're making is self-isolation leads you to God, but the explanation you're giving is you're discovering more about your own self.
Yeah, but if I discover my own self, then I will get closer to Allah, yeah?
Okay, so you are self-reflecting and you discovered, yes, you may have committed some sins. Yes, you may have failed in some of your wajib duties. How does that bring you closer to God?
God-wariness, like it makes me more aware of God, in the sense that...
No, it's the God-wariness that is making you reflect along the lines of what is sinful to God and displeasing to God. What is my duty towards God and my obligation? It's not the other way around. Do you appreciate the difference?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
So just explain. This is a very deep and profound phrase you are quoting from Imam alayhi salam.
Mhm.
That Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. But how? That's the question.
Can I give an example like of Nabi Yunus when he was in the stomach of the whale?
Okay.
There was nobody. It was complete darkness. And he recites the Dhikra Yunusiya. And he pleads to Allah. He's doing, he's pleading, he's crying to Allah for forgiveness so that he may come out of this darkness.
So isolation is bringing him closer to God because he's in darkness.
No. He committed something that made Allah put him in this, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Tarke Aula.
Okay.
And he was, that was his, Allah, I think, I don't know because he's a prophet, so I cannot say. But I think that shows us that even a prophet, Allah puts him in a place where he has to self-reflect and think and say that there is nobody who can help me. La ilaha illa anta. Like, there's no one who can help me but you. Inni kuntu minaz zalimin. I have been zalimun to my own nafs. I have been cruel to my own nafs. So, I don't know if that answers what you're asking.
Okay, so he's in trouble.
Yes.
He recognizes this trouble is of his own doing.
Yes.
And now the only way to escape from that trouble is to go back to God.
Yes.
So the trouble is making him remember God. No trouble, no God.
I think you should pray more to God when you have blessings.
But you didn't say that.
Yes, so.
Okay. Then you quoted an even deeper hadith of Imam Sajjad from Al-Kafi. Explain how that works. You said volume 2, page 67 is a hadith of Imam Sajjad.
He says, if
alayhi
the
salam.
whole world were to shun me, I would never feel alone if I had the Quran with me.
So what is it about the Quran that makes a person not feel isolated?
Connection to Allah.
So give me
It's the
some,
truth, yeah?
give
So,
me some verses of the Quran that if a person who feels lonely were to recite would make them feel not lonely. Some verses.
some verses that for loneliness. Can I have just check, yeah?
So can I give you a hint?
Yes, please.
You said you are familiar with 2 surahs of the Quran.
Surah Maryam and Surah Muhammad.
So can you quote some verses from that?
And Surah Maryam?
Either Surah Maryam or...
Yes, so Surah Maryam, I think, where I mentioned ayah number 24, yeah? Where she was alone and she, if I'm not mistaken, the meaning is look down and a voice comes up and tells her to hit the floor and water comes out.
Okay, so how does that make the reciter not feel isolated and lonely? Look down and water will flow.
Because she knows that there is somebody who is, with the help of Allah, is with her. She knows she's not alone. She is socially isolated, but she is not isolated from Allah. Allah is there with her in every step of the way. It's a sort of hope.
Okay, good. Continue. So it's her experience of the belly of the whale for Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam.
We can say that.
Okay, continue. Any other example?
I think I mentioned Nabi Nuh. He was mocked for 950 years.
Okay, so isolation by people rejecting you. How did he find his consolation from that isolation?
He found consolation from Allah.
Which ayah says that? What does he say? How does God report his sense of consolation despite the rejection?
I'm not sure, but is it Surah Hud?
Yeah, Surah Hud has the mention of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. But
Yes.
what I'm looking for is not the rejection only. What I'm looking for is how did Nabi Nuh alayhi salam overcome that rejection? Because you're saying it's connection to God. What is that?
Patience, sabr.
I don't want your speculation. I want an ayah of the Quran which explains that.
Can I open the Quran and check?
Okay, you have permission, yes.
So please, can you repeat your question just one more time?
The question is, you made a very profound claim. You said if the whole world were to reject me, Imam alayhi salam says, I would not feel lonely so long as I have the Quran with me. So I asked you which verses of the Quran would give the reciter a sense of consolation, and you said, for
Okay.
example, Hazrat Yunus. I
Yeah.
asked you for more examples. You said, for example, Bi Maryam. More example, now you came to Prophet Nuh.
Okay.
So where is the evidence in the Quran of how Prophet Nuh alayhi salam found consolation despite all that rejection and isolation?
Ayah number 36 of Surah Hud,
Okay.
where Allah says, وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ. And then he says, it was revealed to Noah, none of your people will believe except those who already have faith. So do not sorrow for what they used to do.
Okay, so how does this give consolation?
Allah is consoling that do not worry about the people who do not believe.
5 minutes. Okay, so me as a reciter of the Quran wants to follow the example of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. What's the inspiration I get from this? I'm not a Nabi, I don't get this inspiration. How do I get inspired and
Because-
consoled by this ayah?
Okay, so Allah commanded him to build the ark.
Yes.
So that's obedience to Allah.
Okay.
So that ark, maybe we can say is what like gave him hope that all those who are believing will be saved, because Allah told him to build the ark, and specific by divine command he made him make the ark and guided him on how to make the ark. So that gave him hope that at least those who believed would come on it, and those rejected, because Allah told him to build the arks, that he would perish otherwise.
Agreed. I want to get consolation, as Imam Sajjad alayhi salam claims, that in isolation, if you have the Quran, you will never feel lonely. You're giving the example of Nabi Nuh. Everything is of him being a Nabi. Me as an ordinary person, how will I get consolation by reading this ayah? Or this story? The whole story is almost about 3 pages. Is my question clear?
So you want me to give you an example from Nabi Nuh where
Any other example, but you started with Nabi Nuh. I said, good enough. Let's see how the Quran can give us consolation through Nabi Nuh. or any other verse of the Quran. Because Imam Sajjad says, if I'm alone and the Quran is with me, I'll never feel lonely. Give me an example. Which verses will make him not feel lonely? He's all alone.
Can this verse help? I'm trying.
Yes, please.
لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have certainly created man in the best of forms.
Okay.
So this gives me that value, that my value doesn't depend on others' attention and presence. My worth is from my Creator. Can that give me solace in isolation?
Okay. So if we feel worthless due to isolation or rejection, we find worth in recognizing our own God-given value. Okay, so that's the example of one ayah. Yes, give me more verses. How Quran can give me a sense of consolation despite isolation. You mentioned a lot of verses.
Yes.
Yeah, but you didn't give the explanation, so I'm making you go through them.
Okay. Maybe can we try Surah Anfal, ayah number 46? Wasbiru inna Allah masabirin. I think, yeah, social isolation may be a test. So no, this is on patience. Okay, Surah Inshira, ayah number 6, innamal usri yusra, indeed with hardship comes ease. So if I look at it as isolation is not permanent, it changes, this verse may help me.
So this is a claim. Give the explanation. God is promising that with hardship there will be ease. It doesn't make sense. You'll have to explain this. How? Person is in hardship, they're in pain, they have lost money, they've lost relatives. There are different types of reasons for the affliction. This ayah is saying, in the affliction of loss of money, loss of friends, or loss of family, or loss of health, don't worry, there is ease. What do you mean there is ease? I'm in pain, I'm in sorrow, I'm in grief, I don't have what I need. And yet the Quran says, no, don't worry, there is ease. There is no ease, there is pain.
So you pray to Allah
To do what?
to remove you from this.
It's just like a person sitting at home, doesn't want to work and earn his wages and just says, oh Allah, give me rizq. Only prayers is going to remove the person from that sense of isolation?
Istiqamah, steadfastness.
In what? You
In
said
every.
You said istiqamat, you used the word istiqamat and qualified it with tawheed. Istiqamat in tawheed. How does that work to remove isolation?
Okay, so you can have iman and then build it up with taqwa, and then you have jihad, you struggle.
Okay, so here is a person isolated because let's say they are suffering some illness or disability. They have isolation because their family has left them or friends have abandoned them. They have isolation because they may have suffered some loss in money or... So you are saying with iman, with taqwa, with istiqamah, with jihad, with sabr, 5 things you mentioned, this person will find consolation. Each one of these 5 have to be explained. How? Because iman, faith. How does faith bring consolation? Taqwa, God-wariness.
So,
how? That's the key word. How?
So your question, if I am to understand it in the way I think, is you're asking me, how do I get this iman when I'm in a state of social isolation? How do I get this? Is that what?
Because in isolation you are hopeless. And you're saying the solution is Iman. But
I
I'm
can go to a
hopeless.
medical practitioner
Yeah.
and get help.
He is going to just treat my body, not my soul.
Yes, so you need to uplift your soul. But you cannot uplift your soul, like you're saying, when you are already in that social isolation. So you need to go nearer to Allah, pray, fast. What else can we do?
Okay, for each of those methods that you're showing, you'll have to explain how prayer, for example, is going to remove you from sense of isolation. Give me an example. The person is praying 2 rak'ah namaz. How will they come out of isolation? They're all alone. They're in pain. They're in loss. They're in grief. They're sad.
Yeah, but they are praying to Allah, so Allah listens to them, yeah?
Praying what? So they're praying Surah Fatiha and a small surah, for example, Surah Inshirah. Is it right to pray, to recite Surah Inshirah?
You have to recite it with another, yeah?
With?
With Surah Duha, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It has to be combined with Surah Duha.
Yeah.
Okay. So the person is praying Surah Fatiha and Surah Inshirah and Duha if it's a wajib prayer. How is this going to remove them from isolation?
Dhikr of Allah brings you closer. Like the
But
words.
you can have a person, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah, they keep repeating the words, but their mind is overwhelmed. Sadness, grief, isolation, rejection, abandonment. It's just words. They're not working.
Awareness
Of what?
that you're not alone. Allah is there.
Okay, God is there, but He's not giving me that sense of confidence. What's the problem? So I'm reciting, I'm trying to understand what I'm reciting, but I'm not getting that sense of consolation. What is missing?
Maybe my soul is corrupted.
Aha, okay. So what do I need to do now? How to remove that damage to the soul?
Okay. So I need to first remove the damage from my soul before I can do all this.
How are you going to do that? How to remove the damage?
Again, if you're removing that damage from your soul, self-reflection, yeah, it's your nafs. You have to build your nafs to get closer to Allah. So like I say, you may be doing things which is impairing that isolation. Like it's making you feel that you are isolated. You may not be isolated, but it just brings negative thoughts. So if my soul is corrupt, the only way I can make my soul, maybe recite the Quran, understand it, have marifah of it. Mercy, healing and mercy is from Allah, yeah?
How do I recite the Quran to gain ma'rifah?
Understand it.
What sources should I use to get that understanding?
In terms of tafsir,
Yeah.
there's so many we have. Al-Mizan
Al-Mizan is difficult.
is very difficult, yes.
Very difficult. Okay, there you go. Okay. So
But
give me
enlightening commentary or Al-Hadi or sometimes have an alim explain to you something you don't understand. Do counseling. Counseling with like a counselor, also preferably somebody who's on the same path as is on Islam, so it leads us to the right path.
My final question, I stop here.
Okay.
You said that God is closer to the human being than the jugular vein.
Yes.
If God is so close, then even in the most isolated places, I should get the highest consolation. If He is so close, how come I'm so far?
Because my soul is corrupt, yeah, that's why I'm far.
But
I'm
then
not connecting.
the way to connect is prayers. But I'm praying, but I'm not connecting.
Because your heart is not in it.
So how to heal the heart? The heart is damaged. What is the biggest step to be taken to heal the heart?
To heal the heart. Yeah, I remember reading that Marada, the problems of the heart are mentioned 24 times in the Quran, out of which half of them talk about the heart being corrupt and the heart not not responding. So maybe not to do sins, refrain from sins. Not maybe, refrain from sins.
That's for future.
So do you
So
want?
it's just like a person who's got a heart disease goes to the doctor. He's okay, avoid fatty food. That's for future. But right now the heart is damaged. Doctor, what do I do? Something has happened in the past. Okay, you're advising me about the future. But what about the current heart state? How do I remove the damage?
Understand the essence of Allah and understand His marifah.
God is very merciful, but I can't
attend
connect.
lectures and talk to the...
I don't feel like attending lectures. If I go to lectures, I get distracted. I find it boring. He doesn't know or she doesn't know my problem. I don't connect.
Maybe start fasting.
Start fasting. Oh, it's so difficult. How can I stay? How can I stay so hungry? God is not kind to me.
Your stem cells will be built inside your body when you are fasting. So your brain will become clearer, your heart will open up.
So you are now trying to explain to the person what is the positive effect that this difficult method, fasting may be difficult, but the positive effect it may have, and that will make the person reduce the damage that has already been done. Yes. Okay, so it's got a spiritual counterpart. Okay, Asanto.
Thank you.
I'm fine. Yeah. I need to go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My topic is, how does the Quran provide examples of wasila as a legitimate concept in Islam? The meaning of wasila. The word wasila comes from the root word waw, sin, and lam, meaning to connect, to join, to draw close. And in Quran, wasila refers to a pathway or a bridge that leads towards Allah, not an independent power. Allah commands in 5:35, Maida 35, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wabtaghu ilayhi alwasila wajahidu fi sabilihi la'allakum tuflihun. O you who believe, be mindful of Allah and seek a wasila to Him. So here it's being addressed to the mu'minun that they should acquire taqwa and seek a wasila to Him. Allah could have simply said, worship me, yet He commands the seeking of a means. According to the Tafsir al-Mizan, this establishes that nearness to Allah is attained within a divinely designed system, not outside the system. Now, the Quran presents Allah as the only independent doer, yet at the same time establishes a universe governed by means, as sabab. This is not contradiction, but a deliberate divine system. The concept of wasila, that means a means of nearness, emerges directly from the Quranic ayats. Far from undermining Tawheed, wasila is itself an expression of obedience to Allah's chosen order. At the heart of this discussion lies Tawheed al-Af'al, the oneness of Allah in action. Allah alone is the independent cause. Everything else operates by His permission. At the end of the day, Allah is the independent cause. The Quran repeatedly attributes actions directly to Allah, even when they occur through apparent agents. Example, Allah takes the soul at the time of death in Surah 39:42. And another place in 32:11, it is said, the angel of death will take you. There is no contradiction. The act belongs to Allah. The execution occurs through a means. This principle is made explicit in the verse, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. This was in the battle of Badr. Allah is said, you did not throw when you threw, but Allah threw. This is in 8:17, Anfal 17. Now, the human actions exist, but real worth belongs only to Allah. Like human action exists, like supposing in ruku we say, bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi aqumu wa aqud. It's by Allah's power that I can stand and sit. Cause and effect as a divine system. Allah is not dependent on cause. He can just say kun and fayakun. Yet he chooses sometimes operate through causes. He chooses sometimes to operate through causes. This applies to both the material and spiritual realms. Examples include healing through the doctor, knowledge through the teachers, growth through mentors, victory through human efforts. I can give with examples, like supposing the growth through mentors like Prophet Musa and Prophet Khidr, the story of Prophet Musa and Prophet Khidr. When Prophet Khidr, in the boat, he made a hole. And then that was a sabab that the boat would be saved from the cruel king for the poor fisherman. So that's one way of Allah used Prophet Khidr as a wasila to save the boat. Like victory through human efforts, it was in Battle of Khaybar, the Fateh Makkah. Then also, when the Bani Israel, when they were in the desert, they wanted water, and Prophet Musa was told to strike the rocks by the staff, and 12 streams gushed out. So this was by Allah, but the use was the staff, the wasila was the staff. At the same time, when they came to the Red Sea, and Prophet Musa, he was told to strike the water with the staff, and the sea, Red Sea opened, and the Irati Amra, those angels who manage the affairs. And at the same time, in another place, in Yunus 3, he manages the affairs. Allah manages the affairs himself. So here, there are two different opinions in the Quran. These angels are not rivals to Allah, they are agents of His will. Their existence proves that Allah governs creation through delegated execution. Revelation itself as wasila. One of the strongest proofs of wasila is the revelation itself. Allah could have placed the Quran directly into every heart, but instead He chose angel Jibreel to bring the Holy Quran in the heart of the Prophet in a human language and in gradual revelation across time. The trustworthy Spirit has brought it down upon your heart. 26, 193, 194. This shows that wasila is divinely intended even in the most sacred act of guidance. All three are wasila, the angel Jibreel, the Quran, and the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a divinely appointed means. The Quran repeatedly establishes the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a means of nearness, not a barrier. Whoever obeys the Messenger has obeyed Allah. And that is ayah 480, Surah An-Nisa 80. In Surah Ali Imran 31, the ayat is saying, into hibsa, giving life to the dead, and curing the blind, the lepers. All this is through Allah's will. Prophet Sulaiman, when he wanted the throne, he asked Asif bin Barkia, though he had the control of the wind and the full power, but still he took the wasila of Asif bin Barkia. Then when he also wanted to send the letter to Bibi Bilqis, he sent it through Hudhud. So in conclusion, Allah is the only independent doer, yet He has willed that nearness to Him be sought through means. He Himself has created angels, prophets. Revelation, righteous deeds, dua, and fitra are not competitors with Allah, but expressions of His wisdom and mercy. Wasila is not bypassing Allah, it is obeying the way He chose to be approached. Imam Ali in Nahjul Balagha, Sermon 144. The Holy Prophet, Imam Ali is saying, the Holy Prophet is light through whom people can be guided, a rope which we can hold on to reach salvation. Prophet Nuh was told to make the ark. So the ark, the safina, was a means of wasila. Also Prophet Yusuf's brothers, they went to Prophet Yaqub and told him, "Oh Father, please ask Allah for our forgiveness." He said, "I will ask," and he waited for the right time, that is the Jumerat or Tahajjud namaz, and he asked for forgiveness. So we know there are timings also which are important. Then also Hazrat Adam in 237, then Adam received from his Lord some words and accepted his repentance. Indeed, it is he who is the acceptance of repentance, the merciful. This is saying that from the hadith it is said that these names were of the Ahlul Bayt. And the reference is 6th Imam, Biharul Anwar. And lastly, with a story that there was once a flood and everybody was leaving the town, and this one man, he said, no, I will not come out. They said, no, let's go. He said, no, I'll go on the roof. He went on the roof. The floods were coming. Helicopter came, said, let's go. You're going to get down. He said, no, Allah will come and save me. He wanted Allah himself to come and save him. Then he died. So Allah was sending him the wasila. He sent him a boat. He sent him the helicopter, but he did not use the wasila. Salwat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any hadith you have related to the tawassul in the life of our messenger? Any story or hadith you know?
Nadi Aliyan, when Prophet was in Khaybar, and he said, Nadi Aliyan Mazhar al-Ajal.
They will ask for the reference.
I know that Prophet used to take Imam Ali's name, Bihaqqi Ali, that accept my dua. He used to take the wasila of Imam Ali, the Holy Prophet himself. And then the Imams all used to take the name of Bibi Fatima as whenever they wanted to ask. So they used to take the name of Bibi Fatima.
Maybe they will ask for the reliable source for this. Any of this you have mentioned, 1, 2, 3. Are you able to produce them, the source or reference?
No.
Okay. The ayat that you have mentioned, that ayat of Surah Baqarah or Surah Yusuf, the brothers of Yusuf went to Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. Maybe one of the argument is because they were alive, Hazrat Yaqub and our messenger. People can go to them and ask them by their wasila and ask forgiveness. What about for us? Because our messenger and Hazrat Yaqub is not there. How can we get the wasila of our messenger?
We can take our 12th Imam's name and ask him to ask Allah for forgiveness. We can write a riza to the 12th Imam, asking him to help us for our hajats. Through him, Allah will listen, inshallah.
Inshallah. What you would say about the life and death of our messenger? Our messenger, can we ask our messenger to seek forgiveness for us?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Because there was a blind man once, he went to the Holy Prophet and he told that, please, I want to be cured. So he told him to recite, "Oh Allah, I seek nearness to you through your Prophet," indicating that Prophet is the wasila, and the blind man got his eyesight. Then also another man went to the grave of the Prophet and asked him to pray for his ummah for rain. This is from a Sunni scholar, Bayhaqi. It's also the Sunnis say that you can go to the grave of the Prophet and ask for do the wasila. We know that the Prophet's soul is gone, but when we go for ziyarats also to Imam Hussein, the tomb of Imam Hussein, when we ask, the duas are being accepted.
Asking what is the difference between wasila and istighatha?
Istighatha.
I think you combine both the things, and wasila and seeking help from our messenger. What is the difference between these two? Asking by our messenger or asking directly from our messenger?
Yeah, they've been given the power by Allah to to fulfill our hajats.
Where Allah has given them the power?
Istighasa, when we do istighasa to the Prophet.
Yes.
See, Allah is saying that, you see, obedience to the Prophet equates to obedience to Allah.
Okay.
So he has given the permission to people also to go and ask. Even in Surah Munafiqun, he said that if they would come and ask for forgiveness to you, but the Munafiqun were very proud and they turned away. They did not. He said, I would have forgiven, but now because they turned away, Allah said, Lan yaghfira lahum. I will not forgive them now because they turned away from you, from the Prophet. So Allah in the Quran has mentioned that obeying Allah is obeying the Prophet. Obeying the Prophet is also obeying Allah, like He's given him the power.
Ahsantum for the extensive presentation based on the verses of the Quran. But there are some objections which some Muslims are raising on some of these verses that you have quoted. So one question was what Maulana was inquiring about, that all these examples that you have given, that the Prophet does istighfar, the Muslims are asked to go to the Prophet to ask for istighfar. The brothers of Nabi Yusuf went to the father Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam. But their objection is all of this happened in their lifetime. What is the evidence it can also happen after the death of these Anbiya? And the answer you gave is a hadith. Now this group of Muslim thinkers are saying that this hadith may be weak and therefore cannot be relied upon. What is the evidence from the Quran that the power given to the Anbiya in their lifetime also continues to after their death? So therefore you can go to the grave.
Yeah. So don't think those who have died or in the way of Allah as dead.
Sorry, you're not interpreting the ayah correctly. Which surah is this?
Yeah, I know I remember that there is an ayat saying,
so you have
those who are slain in the way of Allah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam get slain other than Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam to be slain in the way of God on the battlefield?
Don't think them as dead.
Yes, so this is for those who are slain in the way of God on the battlefield. Yuqtal, qatl, fi sabilillah. Usually
Amwat.
that is interpreted as being killed on the battlefield. So this ayah can apply to maybe Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but how will it apply to the Prophet or the other Imams? So you use the example of the hadith that says go to the Prophet in the grave and ask for rain. This is the example you used, and rain was granted. Where is the evidence from the Quran for those Muslims who say no, this hadith is weak?
So would it be in particular for a prophet, or I can use it that in the surah Inna Anzalna, when the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Tanazzalul malaikatu wa ruhu fiha bi izni rabbihim min kulli amrin salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. So where are the malaikas coming to the Imam Zamana? Would it apply here?
So this group of Muslim scholars say that this only refers to the descent of malaika in the lifetime of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they confine it to the Prophet's lifetime, not that it continued after the Prophet. For that, again, evidence from the Quran will be required.
Maybe you can help me with a clue.
So there are others waiting after you who have to present, and maybe they can defend themselves. So can I come back? You made a beautiful presentation of how God has created the system. He can act directly and get certain actions executed, kun fayakun, you said. But He has deliberately designed the universe to operate through a system of cause and effect, through mediums, through intermediaries. And then you gave the example of the taking away of the soul, that in Surah Zumar, Ayah 42, Allah is the one who takes away the soul. In Surah Mubarakah, Alif Lam Mim Sajda, chapter 32, verse 11, you said, no, it is the Malakul Maut who takes away the soul. So from that you said that the governing of the universe, Yudabbirul Amr, in Surah Mubarakah Yunus, Ayah 3. Or in Surah Nazi'at, Wal Mudabbirati Amra. So you gave two examples. And then you said, it also happens for knowledge, it happens for shifa. Yeah, this is a claim. You are taking one example and you are generalizing. And then you're saying ilm also is the same. Can you explain, for example, in the case of ilm, which ayah says Allah is the one who gives ilm, and which ayah says no, it's the intermediary who gives you ilm?
Like Surah Rahman, Bismillahir Rahman,
Okay.
Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Qur'an.
God is the teacher.
Yeah, he's teaching the Prophet.
That's correct.
Khalaqal insan. So that is one that Allah is teaching.
So where is the example of an ayah which says that there are other mediums and other intermediaries to teach?
So like can we say, is it possible that like Prophet Khidr, he is the one who he guided Prophet Musa, he taught him.
So you changed the word. You did not say ilm. You said it is mentors bringing about growth. I don't know, where did you bring that from? Which ayah in the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salam and Khidr suggests that it is mentoring and growth through mentoring?
Maybe I was wrong here to say that.
I'm not supposed to give you answers, but you could be right. It's just that you need to read that story carefully.
Yeah.
So now you are changing yourself. When I'm asking you for an intermediary, you're quoting the example of Nabi Musa and Khidr. So where is the ayah which says that teaching was happening through an intermediary in the story of Nabi Musa and Khidr? Is my question clear?
No.
So you said death can be by Allah taking away the soul.
Yeah.
Surah Zumar. Death can be by Malakul Maut, Surah Sajda. You said the same thing can happen in the case of ilm. So I said, okay, give me the example of God being the teacher. And you are right. You quoted this ayah that Allama al-Qur'an. So then I'm asking you, where is the evidence in the Quran that teaching can also take place through an intermediary, through a wasila?
I don't know if this is applicable, that like Prophet Musa's mother,
Yes.
when she was told to put the child in the river Nile. So, she got the ilham to do it, and she said, don't panic or don't have huzn, we will return him to you. Would that be?
You're right, but that is an example of a person who is not a prophet.
Yes.
He or she is receiving wahi or ilham of what right action to take.
Yeah.
I'm asking, so if in that case it would be in a situation where when she receives the ilham, she then teaches something to Musa alayhi salam, that would have been an example that the mother is wasila for teaching. So you'll have to bring another example.
Just repeat your question, please.
You made a very beautiful explanation that Allah has created a system of cause and effect. He is the independent cause, but He has appointed intermediaries. Example, you used the example of death. Example, you said ilm. Example, you said mentoring. Example, shifa. So I'm asking you, can you, because you did not quote the ayat from the Quran, and this group of Muslim thinkers, they say we want evidence from the Quran. So my question is there evidence in the Quran that other than Allah directly teaching, Allam al-Quran, your example, that Allah also teaches by wasila, intermediaries, agents, mediums?
Would the Namal during the time of Prophet Sulaiman be an agent or a wasila to tell the quickly go and hide in your houses? Because when Prophet Sulaiman was coming with his army, so would that be a wasila?
That is an example of God communicating to the ants and the ants being able to communicate to their colony. Okay, let's go to shifa. You also mentioned shifa.
Yeah.
That God alone is the independent cause of shifa, but also there are other means of shifa. But
Yeah.
you did not quote any ayah to...
Like the bee,
Yes.
the Nahal,
Yes,
it gives us shifa. He said that.
agreed. So the honey from the honeybee is declared as a wasila of shifa.
Yes.
Which surah is this?
Surah Nahl.
Nahl. Okay. Where is it saying in the Quran that God alone is the one who gives shifa?
وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِي.
Good. Who said that and what does it mean? And where does it appear?
Is it Prophet Ibrahim?
That's correct.
So he said that when
Which surah is that?
Bani Israel?
No. Okay. Then you said that the strongest proof for wasila is the process of wahi. God could have directly communicated to every individual person's heart and give them the ilham. He could have done it, but He didn't do it. Instead, He chose the wasila of Jibreel, who became the wasila to give to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who became the wasila to
The people.
declare to propagate to the people. So what if I tell you Allah has given ilham to everyone in the Quran? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa nafsin
وَمَا
wa ma
سَوَّاهَا
sawwaha
فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا.
So everybody has the ilham of what is fujur and sins, and what is taqwa and God mindfulness and self-protection. Yet you are saying no. God could have given to everyone, but He did not.
So it's his choice, and certain things He can give to the people, and certain things He has to give it through the
So what
prophet.
are those certain things that He does give to everyone?
It's
And what is it that He does not give to everyone, and why? Why does He choose that? Just blindly, or there's some wisdom?
There must be wisdom, of course.
Okay, so can
Like
you try
supposing
to...
the Quran, he wanted to give it to the mountains, and the
Yes.
mountains said no. They refused to take. It was too heavy for them.
Okay,
Then only the heart of the Prophet could take it.
right. So, is this a reality being presented, or it is an example? If ever the Quran were to be revealed to the mountains, then the power of the Quran is so great that the mountains would be humbled and they'd crumble. Is this just an example, or no, it's a reality? If it's a reality, then what is it in the mountain that blocks the reception and the receiving of the wahi? So I'm coming back to my original question. There's some revelation or inspiration given to every human being, but certain things are not. Where is the distinction? That which of the things is given to everyone, which of the things are not given to everyone, and why not? Is it just by blind choice, or no, there's a wisdom behind it?
I agree there is a wisdom,
Okay.
but where to draw the line, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Then you said that Allah has kept multiple wasilas. To obey God is a wasila, to perform the right deeds is wasila, and then you quoted the khutbah 110 from Nahjul Balagha, where Imam alayhi salam has listed some 10 different good acts which are wasila. Now those who may not accept the approach to the Imams or to the Prophet as the wasila will say that, see, Imam Ali alayhi salam in the khutbah does not mention that the wasila to God is Ahlul Bayt. He mentions salah and zakat and jihad and sadaqah and all actions. And Imam also says, according to your quote, khayrul wasail. It's not khayrul wasail, inna afdala ma yatawassala bihi al-mutawassilun, which is almost the same in meaning, that some of the best wasilas God has designated are these actions. There is no mention of going to the holy people and asking their wasila. What would you answer that? How would you answer that? Is my question clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So here again the ayat of Hazrat Adam, where he received some words.
So
These words, yeah.
these words, are they in some hadith? There are some people who are doubting the hadith's authenticity. So what were the words? Do you remember the hadith? Okay, so it must be some words, بِحَقِّ مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ بِحَقِّ فَاطِمَةٍ and the Ahl Kisab. But what if the Muslim thinker comes back and says, no, but the Quran reports some other word. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, as appears in Surah A'raf. They will say, see, these are the words. فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ. And finally, you said dua also is a wasila.
Yes.
So, and you quoted this ayah 60 of Surah 40. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, those who don't believe in the wasil, the imams or the prophet to be the wasila, at least after they're passing away, they say the ayah of the Quran is Udu'uni astajib lakum. Pray to me and I will answer you. The ayah does not say pray to me through the wasila of the holy beings. How would you answer them?
So it's possible that you can even pray directly to Allah.
Okay, good.
And you can also pray through the wasilas.
So they accept the first part. They
Yeah.
don't accept the second. You have to provide evidence from the Quran that you can also pray through other beings. What is
So-
the evidence of that?
One could be that the shot of Prophet Yusuf, when he sent it with his brother.
No,
and told
that's a
him-
physical object. That's not a dua.
To use a wasila.
Yes. You said we can make dua either directly or through the wasila. These people say no, we'll make dua directly. Where is the evidence that you can also make dua and it's correct, it's valid, it will be answered through other means, through the means of the holy beings? Where is the evidence in the Quran for that? So can I give you a clue?
Yes.
But can I deduct a mark for that?
Yes.
So you mentioned the dua of istighfar. Istighfar is a dua, isn't it?
Yeah.
Allahumma aghfir
Yes.
lilmu'minina wal mu'minat.
Yes.
So the dua of istighfar of Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam for the Bani Yaqub
Yes.
is mentioned in the Quran. You said it is in Salatul Layl or it is in on Jumerat. That's in the Hadith. But then I'm coming to Maulana's question. So these people will say, yes, we don't disagree. Yes, you can go to Waliullah, Nabiullah and ask them to pray for you. But in their lifetime, not after their death. They're questioning the validity of dua through Waliullah after their death. How would you answer them?
So the way we do amals on the Shab-e Qadr night with the use of the Quran and the names of the Ahlul Bayt, Bihaqqi Muhammad, Bihaqqi Ali. So that's the one way of doing wasila through them.
So because this is a Quran session and because we are trying to also prepare an answer for those who don't want to use hadith, it will be better if you can answer this through the Quran. That validity of seeking help from Nabi or Wali after their death and passing away. It's an important question. You need to reflect upon it.
Okay, maybe with the help of the Prophet's hadith,
Yes.
that there was a man when he came to him and he said that, tell your mother to pray for you. And he
Okay.
said, my mother has died.
Okay.
Said, go to her grave
Yes.
and ask her to pray for you.
Yes. So for those who believe that the du'as after death are also effective, this hadith is good. But the problem is there are some Muslim scholars who claim that no, we only want evidence from the Quran. Is there any verses in the Quran that could help us understand that yes, even after the death of the Nabi or the Wali, it's still valid to seek their wasila? Santum, I just want to emphasize whatever you have said, that we do on Shab-e Qadr A'mal, that we do Du'a Tawassul. These are all valid. Our ulama have got evidence. But because this is a Quran session, that's why I'm trying to focus on the verses of the Quran. I'm not trying to put doubt in your mind or heart that stop wasila and stop A'mal Shab-e Qadr and stop all these other tawassul acts. They have their evidence. It's just that we need to remind ourselves and learn. Ahsantum, jazakumullah.
Jazakallah.
Did you do tawassul before you came to sit on the chair?
Yes.
Ahsantum. But you did quite well.
Alhamdulillah.
But you still need to do more tawassul.
Inshallah.
Ahsantum.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected judges, my elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question 2. What Quranic principles can help me overcome feelings of social isolation? I would like to begin with the Arabic ayat first, then I'll translate this into English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Surah 13, Surah Rad, verse 28. Those who have faith and whose hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. Look, the hearts find rest in Allah's remembrance. The Quran speaks deeply to the human need for connection, belonging, and divine closeness, especially during times of isolation, loneliness, or being misunderstood. Okay, so how do Quranic principles help a believer overcome feelings of social isolation and loneliness? Here I have some answers from the Holy Quran. The first one, which I have already mentioned. The second words, Surah Al-Hujurat, Surah 49, verse number 10. The faithful are indeed brothers. Therefore, make peace between your brother and be wary of God, so that you may receive his mercy. Surah Al-Shahr, verse 5 and 6. Indeed, ease accompanies hardship. Reminder that isolation and loneliness are not permanent. With hardship comes relief. Surah Baqarah, verse 286. Allah does not burden any soul beyond its capacity. So the problems, the challenges of isolation, loneliness and emotional emptiness, anxiety, sadness, and lack of belonging, weakening of faith due to disconnection, feeling unnoticed or unsupported. The Quran recognizes emotional isolation as a spiritual challenge, not merely a social one. Quranic solutions: spiritual connection through dhikr, that is, Allah's remembrance replaces emotional emptiness with peace. Rebuilding human bonds, Islam commands kindness to family, neighbors, and society. Diversity exists so humans may connect, not isolate. Reassurance during hardship, emotional struggles are within human capacity. Referring to some tafsir, Tafsir al-Mizan, true tranquility is not in material wealth or external validation, or external validation, but in dhikr, constant awareness of Allah. This remembrance transforms loneliness into a sense of divine companionship. Faith binds people into one family, transcending tribal or personal differences. Isolation decreases when believers uphold reconciliation and compassion. Taklif, divine responsibility, is always proportional to human capacity. Hardships are measured, not arbitrary. They correspond exactly to a believer's ability to endure and grow. Enlightening commentary. By Allah's remembrance, enlightening commentary, it says here, as Noah found peace of heart by means of the divine words, and make you the ark under our eyes. Okay. So, now coming to the Shia-related hadith, just short one. Okay. So, if you, again, okay. So in Shia hadith, it says, Imam Ali in Nahjul Balagha mentions, the one who remembers Allah is never alone. The sixth Imam mentions, a believer is a companion to believers and a mercy among them. The Quran addresses social isolation by reconnecting the believer to Allah through dhikr and to people through compassion and community. Loneliness is transformed into tranquility when faith replaces emotional emptiness and relationships are guided by divine ethics.
Santom, thank you for your presentation. You have mentioned few times this ayat, this word zikr of Allah. What do you mean by zikr of Allah? By saying zikr, or any other ways are there to remember Allah? If you have any plan for that or any answer to that, please. What do you mean by zikr of Allah? Remembering Allah.
By dhikr of Allah, like you say, okay, as you see, like how where it says how to deal with isolation. So that can be okay. For example, the recitation of Quran, or remembering, doing his Allah, or doing some tasbih, keeping him like, especially if we are, if we are finding so much lonely. If I'm finding like so much loneliness, and so like that can be, for example, supplicating to him, like doing zikr, like tasbih, or reciting the verses of the Quran, or for example certain du'as.
Any for isolation, any example you know from Quran related to messengers or prophets? They are isolated, or they are themselves isolated from the society to do the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. Any example, one or two?
You mean from the prophet?
Prophets, messengers, anyone. personalities. Any example from Quran? Any name of the messenger, prophet, who isolated themselves, they went out of the society, or society asked them to be isolated?
I think one of the prophets. I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember their name, but yes, when I was trying to look through the, when I was trying to study, so one of the prophets, I think.
Yes, please.
But which the name, I think but there was like one of the personality, one of the prophets had gone to isolation, like. And
Name or story? Story is also okay, without
yes.
name.
Yeah, okay. So I think if I when I was trying to study this one, so I think it was remember. I think and Hazrat Noor, I think was.
Yes, please.
Yeah, he was like connected to the ark of. That's it. So. Yeah, so he went to, and then he was so he was where him and I think some other prophet, they were like in constant remembrance of Allah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. You have mentioned one ayat from Surah Hujarat, I think, no? For the sulha, to connect with the people, social life, social connection. Any other ways are there that we can connect to the people or society? The ways of connection to the society or community. Any ways you remember from the Quran that Allah is asking to do this thing, that you will be connected to the society? You already mentioned in the ayat, but this I wanted to clarify.
Yes, yeah, there was, so what, sorry, can you repeat that question?
The ways of connecting to the society.
I mean,
Have a social life. How can we have the social life?
Okay, so, of course, social life, we are connected with the believers of the community.
What are the means of the connection? How can we connect to the community?
One of them is like, brotherhood.
Brotherhood, yes, you already mentioned brotherhood from Surah Hujarat.
Yes,
Other ways are there?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, please mention one or two.
Also, like connecting more with families or relatives, and also like
Sila Rahim.
and Sila Rahim.
Yes, yeah,
Also like coming to like this one with the believers, like the community, like in the community maybe be involved, like so that can take out of isolation. For example, attending sessions of Quran, or even if, for example, or even other things like.
What you say about participating in the majalis and the mahafil?
Yes, in the that also, in lectures, or for example, there's seminars, or there's a debate, like.
Anything related to the charity?
Yes, just give me a few.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, related to yes, charity is can be also, but something which can take us out of isolation, because the charity is definitely. I think there are several few verses mentioned in the Quran.
What do you think about wilaya?
Yeah,
Wilaya can be a source of connectivity. The faith of wilaya that we are having, can it become a source of connectivity or social
yeah,
life?
yeah, wilaya, it can. Yes,
Yes.
of course. What in my understanding, when I've read, so
Yeah, please
like,
mention what your
so,
is there in
so
your
yes,
mind.
yeah. So in my point is that yeah, wilaya is related to this that connectivity. So,
You presented quite well about the factors that can lead to social isolation, but you just mentioned a few. Can you mention a few more, but based on what the Quran says? So, what you mentioned was that one big cause of isolation is that you are misunderstood by others. You did mention that?
yeah.
So can there be other causes other than these? So basically, once people cross the age of 40 and they start growing older and older, what are the challenges in life they face that could bring about loneliness? So-
the challenges.
Yeah, so let's say what Maulana Sahib was asking you, that as a solution to the isolation, you mentioned brotherhood, let's say. So Maulana Sahib said charity, what about wilayat? But sometimes there's a problem. This person may want to do them, but they can't. What will be stopping them from doing those things which bring about isolation?
Okay. Perhaps they are like like okay, coming to this answer to this challenges, the question. So the other things would be maybe because they have joined the wrong group of friends. Maybe they are,
So they've lost friends now.
or maybe
So-
yeah, they're not connecting to the.
Yeah, so
Or
before the age of 40 they had one or two good friends, but now after age 40, let's say those friends have migrated away or
Yeah,
they've passed away, so
yeah,
they're isolated. Or maybe family members.
yes, yeah.
So now this person is isolated. You told us that one way of overcoming that was to be kind to the family members and to the neighbors and to the community. You mentioned this, isn't it?
Yes.
If I heard you correctly. Which ayah in the Quran mentions that? Is this based on the Quran,
Yes,
or
yeah.
you are just...
No, I was referring it to the Quran. I think so. I've.
You can refer to your notes if you have noted it somewhere. Is my question clear?
Yes. Yeah, that meant the ayah. What the meant
Yeah.
that for the
Yeah.
relatives connected.
Yes.
You mean when I was giving the answer to the solutions, yeah? That, the ayah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think it's... Okay, I think it was Surah 49, verse 13. Okay.
So he talks about friends and family and neighbors and community.
Yes. No, sorry, I think I might...
Okay, so the next important question is, you said that the solution for that, and you quoted Al-Mizan, that tranquility can be achieved not by external validation. So you said if you had friends, if you had family, if you had neighbors, if you had community members, they can give you support and help you overcome isolation. But Al-Mizan says it's not only in external validation or in having money and wealth, but it is in zikrullah. What is it about zikrullah that helps a person overcome isolation? So you can have friends yet you feel isolated. You can have no friends yet you feel tranquil. What is that zikrullah? What role does zikrullah play?
I think
So you gave the example of
yeah.
Prophet Nuh alayhi salam.
Yes, yeah. Prophet.
What zikrullah gave tranquility to Prophet Nuh alayhi salam?
Okay. I think it was, if I'm, I hope maybe if I'm not mistaken, he was asked to go to the ark.
Yeah, but there's a zikrullah.
Yeah.
What
So
is that
he's-
zikrullah mentioned in the Quran, which would have given consolation to Nabi Nuh
Okay.
alayhi salam?
I think I can try to remember the Arabic words. Like, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal.
That ayah is in Surah Mubarakah Ra'ad about the
Ra'ad.
Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But there's another ayah about Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. Do you remember?
I think it was.
Okay, what
I-
you, sorry.
Can I refer to the
Sure,
Quran?
yes, yeah, no problem.
I'm just
Sure,
forgotten the.
yeah. Do you know which surah and which ayah is referring to this zikrullah of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam?
I might have written on the.
In your notes?
But I can't. I'm not sure. I might have written.
Yeah, you're allowed to refer to your notes, no problem.
Okay, let me see. But it's just Arabic. I might have written that.
Yeah, even translation should be okay. Okay, let me help you. You said that in Nahj al-Balagha, Hazrat Amir alayhi salam says that if you do zikrullah, then you will not be alone. You remember that? And then you said that if a person does tasbih, or if a person makes dua, or if a person recites the Quran, then they will not feel lonely. You remember you said that? Okay. Give me 3 examples. One, tasbih, how reciting the tasbih will not make a person feel lonely. Give me an example of one dua, if recited, the person will not feel lonely. Give me an ayah of the Quran other than the ones you've mentioned, which a person recites and they will not feel lonely.
I think one I can remember the Arabic word.
Okay,
but
sure,
in
no
English
problem.
also I'll try to. So I think it's that run. If I'm not mistaken, when I've heard when I was trying to study and listening through some reliable videos, so it was like I think said like that وَأُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. I think that was the Arabic.
Okay, good.
But
What does
the
that
English
mean?
I'm trying to.
What does that mean?
That
So can I help you?
I think I can just give me a few. It's
Can I help you? But then we will cut one mark off because then we are helping you.
ما في مشكلة.
So وَأُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ, and I entrust my affairs to Allah.
Yes.
إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. The reason I entrust my affairs to Him is because God is the one who is all watching all the affairs of the human beings, of His servants. How will that give me a sense of tranquility in isolation?
So, okay, there are also some other supplications also, like maybe I think like some other duas also,
For
like,
example,
or some ziyarat like
for example,
like say duas. I think it's if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the
so can I help you? But then we will have to deduct a mark. So we popularly recite this in our masjid, in our imambara, in our majlis, the dua amman yujibul multarra. So how does that remove a person from isolation?
that one. Okay. Besides that, there are also other like dhikrs, like you say, for example, the tasbih, like you see, the tasbih of Janabi Fatima Zahra.
The tasbih of Janabi
Fatima Zahra.
Fatima Zahra alayha salam. Okay, good. So tell us, tasbih of Bi Fatima alayha salam, how does that help remove a person from isolation?
Because this tasbih is very like I say, it's was good.
Okay. So you have the basics idea, but then you need to also understand from the perspective of the Quran how these methods work to remove the person from isolation. So you're right when you say dua and zikr and tasbih and ziyarat, but each of them works in a specific method to remove the person from isolation and to connect them to God.
Okay.
So we need to understand that.
Yeah.
So you need to reflect upon that. Okay, Asantum. Thanks very much for your,
Thank you. Jazakallah.
to remind us about this important topic, and you quoted from Al-Mizan and you quoted from the verses of the Quran. and you mentioned some methods, but we need to reflect more on that. Jazakumullah.
Jazakum.